Well, I guess it was World War II, and I was with the anti-aircraft artillery, basically, most of the time. And was served a little bit in the United States and in England, but basically in Belgium. When I started in the university, I was in the, well, it was their Army Air Force had classes there. Well, I went through the basic training in college. Oh, I'd start there in, I guess it was in 1939. Okay. Utah State University. And then shortly after, I think I graduated in, what was it, June? But in August, then I entered the regular service, 1943. Well, I was an officer, as a lieutenant. Well, for a short time in the States, on the East Coast, or New England, and around New York for a while, and then for a short time in England, and then in Belgium in the late 1943, and served in the Battle of the Bulge there. And on the day that our troops were ready to enter Belgium, I was on the Rhine River waiting to go in, and the war ended. That was early spring, the late winter. I'd been doing with the anti-aircraft, in addition to times that we were anti-aircraft, we were set up as artillery in the Battle of the Bulge. And so we were in the eastern Belgium area all that time. But when we moved up to enter Germany against the Germans there, and but on that April 1st, when we were on the Rhine River, the Germans gave in, and that was the end. So we entered as troops that were occupying the area. It was a anti-aircraft battalion. 136th anti-aircraft battalion was the one I served with mostly. Oh, well, I had planned to be willing to go into the service when I was needed, and it was a good experience. I found friends there, actually, among all the members of the battalion I was with, and the battery that I was with, and yes, it was dangerous from time to time, but it was a wonderful experience. It was that Battle of the Bulge I was in, and then it was just protecting the ports from the German buzz bombs and aircraft in Belgium as they were heading for the ports to bomb ships that were coming in, bringing troops and supplies. So that's what we were doing, is protecting the entry port. Well, it was sort of a continuous thing, except for the Battle of the Bulge. That we had to get up there and serve as potential and artillery ground artillery. In as best we could with protected areas, waiting for the Germans to come up, as they had been doing in Egypt and then up through the French coast. We were waiting for them to come up through this Belgium area, but they never made it. Well, that December was a cloudy, stormy month, and we moved up to where they would arrive, up in the tops of the mountains or more hills in eastern Belgium, and waited there for them to come. We were prepared as artillery to take care of the troops that would come. But on Christmas Day, the sun came out, and the Air Force came over, and they took care of it. Oh, we were just busy being prepared and having our local artillery positions to protect us, and then the anti-aircraft guns for shooting down the planes and the bombs. We had pretty good supplies, and we were protecting the ports where the supplies came in. That was the purpose. I think I was more involved worrying about what was going to happen with the Germans than I was Christmas. Oh, I think it was, well, I'd been reserve for, I don't know, 10 years or something, but in active duty probably 10 months or something. I saw the U.S. Air Force, which was stationed in England, flying over against the Germans. Oh, there were several masses of them went over. And of course, that would stop the Germans from coming forward because they could bomb them. When we were back set up as sort of artillery before this Battle of the Bulge, they were passing over, and we were trying to shoot them down, and we did. But one of them we shot down fell right in our troop area, about 20 yards from where I was.
This was a buzz bomb?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I don't know how many, but probably 6 or a dozen. Yes, 20 yards from where I was standing, and hit one of our soldiers. Yeah, we lost a soldier there, or he was injured. I was an officer, and but I was a second lieutenant at that point, and so I was in charge of getting the troops in their positions around the camps where we were, and prepared for the enemy if they came. We had anti-aircraft guns, so those troops would be in a position to protect us so that we could fire at the planes, German planes that were coming over, which is what we did, shooting one of them down right in our area.
A plane as well as a buzz bomb, or?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a buzz bomb, and we shot down that time.
Did you guys shoot down any planes, or did you see planes?
Not any that fell in our area.
Uh-huh.
I think we hit some that probably had a problem, but they didn't land in our area.
Okay.
I was in charge of the local ones that we set up, which, there must have been probably 20 or 30 men around the area there, or maybe it's as many as 50 around where the guns was located, to protect them from troops and, that might come. It's an interesting thing, yeah, because there was, they had parties and get-togethers for several years, but then of course it sort of faded away. But then I stayed in reserve service for I think 12 more years. Oh, when I get out, I went back to school and then began to get positions. After I came out, I got married. That's a good question. I think it was 1944. 40. I think that was the time. Well, that late 44, early 45, probably 45. From some friends that I had from the university, I sort of got acquainted with her. And I went back into master's.
And that's when you met your wife?
In fact, I guess I met her while I was still in the service, but back at home then, and related to some friends that I had. So I met her. Well, I happened to be in, I think it was Ogden, Utah. When we got together, it was up in Cache Valley, and she was from southern Idaho. I went in the service at that point. That's when I went in the service. Yeah, I went on the master's and doctorate after I came back. When I graduated, I had looked for a job and I found it. With Mars Incorporated, the candy company. The way I put it, I was in purchasing. But in actual fact, it was purchasing, but the owner of the company wanted more information and work done in the area. And so when I was hired to do it, they told me I had to travel. And the cocoa came from the wild parts of Brazil, Africa, and that's where I traveled. Oh, it was interesting. It's fascinating. No, not to those places. There was times that she came, yes, but early, not. Well, that was it, because I grew up on a farm, and when I went to school in agriculture, and what the owner of the company was looking for is somebody because the supplies were coming, the cocoa was coming from South America, from Africa, and he was looking for somebody that could do more than was being done about forecasting the crop, watching what it was, so that they could do good buying, good purchasing. That's what it was. Well, that was established out of things that Mr. Mars had done with making chocolate and things in World War II, and he started by sort of almost gifting to soldiers that were out there in battle, delivering this candy to them in their service. That's where it started. Well, that was his idea, but I was with him on that. Well, he was looking for someone that knew about agriculture and growing agriculture and crops and things. And I was started working for a company that was in agricultural price consultation. And so we got together, and that started our relationship. Yes, yeah. Because that work had not been done. There was no one around that had any of the experience with that. Well, he did that during the war, because he spent time preparing chocolate to deliver to the troops that were out. And then it was after this that we got together. Oh, it was, well, no one else was doing it. And then he was interested in the troops and how you delivered these things that can be preserved to get to the troops in battle or when they were preparing to go up. And that's sort of where it developed. From there, he developed the market in England and in the United States, and then on the continent. Well, I don't know that it did, but, well, of course it benefited because of the experience as an officer. You had to learn about organization and handling people. Yeah, it was good training at what I had in the military.
So what advice would you give people as far as leadership and leading people and managing things, or any advice of things you've learned from military, your time at Mars, or just your observation over time of
Oh no, I worked with people directly in various positions, and they put me in their central office, and then I worked in various countries with these people, advising them about their organization and from what I'd learned from the Army experiences and things.
So what advice do you give to leaders today? What's the best advice you can give somebody that's a leader so they don't get in trouble?
Listen to the people that work for you and have a plan.
How so? As far as a plan, how is having a plan a good idea?
Well, if the company doesn't know what they're going to do and what their objectives are, it's in a mess. It's not going to go. So the owners of the company need to work with the officers of the company to establish what their objectives are, and that's what I helped work on a little, but was a part of. So
Okay.
for their development,
Okay.
and I was connected to the foreign because no one else had done that, and it was entirely new. And, hardly anyone to be qualified. I was qualified because I grew up on a farm, and I knew about
Right.
plants and animals and things, and that was the best training possible for what I had to do there, because you'd go into a foreign country and people didn't know anything about a lot of the markets or anything, so you sort of but you had to know what the crop was going to be, or you wouldn't know when to buy. So I had this one train them in certain things, but more importantly, to know what that crop was going to be so that we could buy economically at the right time, and that was very, very important. It's, for their profit, for establishing some reserve for expanding the business. Yeah, I got in on that.
Okay.
And because of that, I got to know the owner of the company very well.
Okay.
Worked together.
Good. Now, you did mention one time when we were talking before, between your graduation from your bachelor's degree, when you first came in the Army, and when you went to serve up in, you said, the New England area, right? There was some training in between there, is that right? You said there was
Some military training.
Where was that training at?
Well, some of it came from the reserve officers' work in Utah, but then you would go out to special services in Oregon or California or somewhere and get further training.
And what was that training on there?
Oh, it was on how to handle artillery and troops and organize things.
Okay.
And then I went into the regular service, and that was good experience.
Right. Okay, so you graduated from college, went in the military, and then
Well,
went
I was
over-
associated with the military.
right, and then went overseas
Yes.
for World War II, and came back and went to more school and got married, right?
Yes.
And then worked for Mars.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when did you start having a family?
Oh, well, while I worked for Mars.
When you worked for Mars?
Yeah,
you didn't have any
very
children when
early.
you were in the military?
Hmm?
No children when you were in the military?
No,
Okay.
no, it's when I came back.
Okay. And how many children did you have?
6, I think.
Okay. Now, now, what was your wife's name, if you don't mind me asking?
Faye.
Oh, okay.
Faye Ralphs Baker.
Faye Ralphs Baker?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great.
That's what her name became.
Okay. Okay, great.
Her
All right.
maiden name was Ralphs.
Uh-huh. And you said she was from Idaho, right?
Yes.
Okay. And your children are? Who are your children?
Oh, John, Lynn, and Kent, and Annette, and Garth, and Bruce, and Kay Dean. That's 6.
I think that was 6. Okay, all right.
They're not all alive now, but
Oh, they're not? Okay,
yeah.
okay. Sorry to hear that. So, and I guess I just want to thank you for taking your time to talk to me and giving me this interview time. So I appreciate it, and I've enjoyed it very much. Appreciate it. Thanks.
I hope it's of some use.
I think it will be. Thank you very much.